All right, welcome to Masechet Parah, Parak Aleph, Mishnah Aleph. We're in Masechet Parah. We're actually going to talk about pretty much all the time the beginning of Parashat Chukah. Zo Chukah Torah. The Torah tells us, we're not going to read it today because the Mishnah goes into other things, but this is the Zot Chukah Torah. This is the Chuk, the statute of the Torah that Hashem commanded us. V'choi lecha Farah Aduma. It's really Farah. It's not Parah, but it's Farah Aduma, a red heifer. So the question is, what is a red calf? What's the definition of a calf? How old does an animal have to be in order to be a calf? And that's where our Mishnah begins. Says the Mishnah, Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Eliezer says, Egla bat shnata. Okay, an egla, a calf, is up to a year old. Ufara bat shnatai. And a farah is, okay, once it enters into its second year, it's 2 years old, meaning what they mean after its first birthday. That's the definition of parah. Chachamim says no. Egla bat shnatai. Ufara bat shalosh or bat arba. It's still considered a calf until the end of its second year. And it's considered a parah once it's 3 or 4. Rabbi Meir says, af bat chamesh, even 5. Kshera, zikna, zikena. And even an older cow animal is okay. Meaning, what it's parah duma can be as old as it gets. A red cow. Cow is, you don't stop being a cow once you're a cow. But you don't wait. Once you have a red cow, okay, you don't wait for it. Shema tashchir, maybe it will develop black hairs. Shaloti pasel, it'll become possible. Meaning, we're going to see, as we see from the psukim, the situation, the conditions of an actual kosher red cow are so specific, you don't want to wait around with it. I guess you have to wait around until it gets to the proper age. I'm Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Yeshua says, Lo shamati ela shlashit. The only thing I heard, let's get the Bartura for a second. Lo shamati ela shlashit, kach shamati. I heard this following language. En kshara la para aduma ela shlashit. The only en kshara ela, it's the only para aduma that's kosher is a shlashit. That's what I heard. That's what my rabbanim taught. So I heard this shlashit. Amr lo, so they said, malashon shlashit. What it means shlashit? Because remember, bat shalosh could mean shlashit, meaning it has to be after a second year. Amalem kach shamati stam. Really interesting language of the Mishnah. Kach shamati stam. That's what I heard. Shlashit. So why? So the Chacham said, why, Rabbi Yeshua, did you hear this language? Why did they teach you shlashit? Amr ben Azai ani afresh. But as I said, I'll tell you why. I'll explain. Imata omer shlishit. If you say parat shlishit la'acherot shebeminyan. So maybe you would think that the only parah aduma that's kosher is a parah aduma that's born third to its mother. And therefore, ksha'ata omer shlashit, so when you have this language of shlashit, then bat shalosh, and we know that it has to be 3 years old. So interestingly, it's like the Rabbi Yeshua, his rabbanim, the Masorah he had, they made up words. Like a word doesn't mean shlashit. There's no such thing as shlashit. There's no word like that. But they did it in order to, but as I said, they did it in order to prevent you from making a mistake. Similarly, they said kerem ravai. Right, you've heard that, like neta ravai, kerem ravai. Kerem, we're familiar with that term. It's the kerem is a vineyard. Ravai is that of the 4th year, but ravai is not a real word. So the Mishnah is like, where did that come from? Amrulo mahalashon ravai. Now, by the way, the word neta ravai and kerem ravai, the 4th year. We know that when you plant a new planting, first 3 years are called orla. You can't eat them. The 4th year, you take it to Yerushalayim. You eat it like maaser sheni. So that's the rule of kerem ravai or neta ravai. I said ravai, but they have rivai. What is rivai? Amalah malashan ravi. What is that? I want the cat rivai. Rivai. Interesting. In the Kahati, he has the language of rivai. Amalem kashavati sam. I don't know. That's what I say. Amar ben Azai said aliyah faresh. I'll tell you. Imata omer rivai. If you say kerem rivai, then you would say la'acherim b'minyan. Okay, the fourth in the count. Ukshata omer rivai ben arba shanim. If you say rivai, then it's 4th year. What is rivai the minyan? So he has the language of rivai la'acherim. Kishiyesh arba kramim. That you would say if you said rivai would only be if there's 4 vineyards. Sheach lomar lacharosh rivai. You would say only if you have 4 vineyards, then you have to take the 4th one to Yerushalayim. But you say rivai, or I say rivai, but it's probably rivai, then no, it has to be the 4th year. Another example. Ha'ochel b'bayit amenuga pras. Mishalosh lakav. Remember we talked about in the Gaim, how long do you have to be in a house, or how long do you sit in a house to eat in order to make yourself tamei, that is beit moshavo, as we learn. So we said that it has to be brayta menuga pras. You have to achilat pras mishalosh lakav. So a pras is the size of a certain loaf, okay, and it has to be a third of a kav. Pras is half a loaf, chatzi kikar. When you make 3 loaves from a kav of kemach, mishalosh lakav, three out of a kav. So you make a loaf, take 3 out of a kav, and you get half that. Amulo, and more mishmona esrei l'sa'ah. Okay, meaning the 3. So normally they didn't measure in kavim for whatever reason. In their times they measured it in sa'ah, right? And which is a much larger amount. Okay, and there were 6 kav to a sa'ah. So why did you say 3 to a kav? Why didn't you say 18 loaves to a sa'ah? I guess like in their times, like it's a kilo, and kav was like weird. Amar lem kach shamati stam. Okay, I don't know. That's what they said. Mishalosh lakav. Amar ben Azai. Ben Azai says, ani fresh. I'll tell you why they used kav and not se'ah. Ima to omer mishalosh lakav ein bo chala. Because if you use a kav was a smaller measurement, and therefore usually they would make larger measurements. They would bake in sa'ah. You would go to the store and buy a sa'ah of flour because they would bake a large amount. He says if you bake 3 loaves to a kav, ein bo chala. There's no chala. Ukshata omer. If you said mishumna esrei l'sa'ah, right, 18 loaves to the sa'ah, mi'atato chalato. Then what happens if you would bake a sa'ah? You would have to pull out some for chala that goes to the kohen. And if you pull out some that goes to the kohen, then the amount that it would take you to eat 1/18 of that was just a tiny bit less. Because once you pulled out the chala amount, then the loaf was a little bit smaller. And if it was a little bit smaller, it would take you a little less time to eat it. And we want that full amount of time in order to know how long you have to be in the Beit HaMenuga. All right, welcome to Masechet Parah. Really, this topic is we're not really on Parah just yet, but we know it has to be a shlashit. It has to be, according to some opinions, in its 3rd year. According to other opinions, batch time in its 2nd year. We'll dedicate this our learning to memory by Father Rav Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman. Make it a great day.